All right, perfect. So again, thank you for being on time. For those of you who are in the Zoom, those of you in the Facebook group, if you are tuning in, how's it going? So today, what we're going to be talking about is how to track events on your website to make sure that your website is actually making you money. So it's a more and more common thing that I'm hearing is, attorneys have websites, they paid a lot of money for their sites, and they don't really actually know, is any business coming from your site? Obviously, you're getting word of mouth and they're probably landing on your site somehow, but are you actually making money off of your site? So that's what we're going to try and find out today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through just a couple of things that you need to understand about tracking, and then I'm going to actually show you how to set up tracking on your site. Now, every site will be different, so it may be a little more complicated than what I'm going to show you here today. But as long as you know these basics, you can guide someone or ask a company to do this for you. And if you want to do it yourself and you're having trouble, you can always reach out to me and I can help you do it. It's relatively straightforward. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. And first, like I said, we're just going to go through just a quick classroom portion on tracking, and then we will be off to the races as far as setting up tracking. So again, making sure your website is making you money. So the first thing is, why is tracking so important? We're going to talk about destination-based goals for forms, and then we're going to talk about Callrail for calls. All right, so tracking. If you are not tracking correctly, you are flying blind. How can you scale what is working and not cut what is not? It's the biggest thing when it comes to marketing. Whenever we set up a new campaign or someone comes to me with a new marketing idea, the first thing I always think about is how are we going to track it and how are we going to report on success or failure? And so the three main things that we track when it comes to online events are form submissions, and we do this with thank you page tracking, which I'm going to show you exactly what that means, calls, and we do this with a program called Callrail, and then chats. So for attorneys, believe it or not, chat does very, very well. And so if you have a chat service, you just want to make sure that it integrates with Google Analytics, which is the system that we're going to be using to track these events. And what this does is it enables you to see that, okay, this chat came from this marketing source, and that will tell you that, hey, this is working or it's not working. All right. So this is how we like to track forms. And what we do is we use something called destination-based goals in Google Analytics. And again, we're going to do a live walkthrough, but I'm just going to talk through what this means and what this looks like. So if you've ever been to a website and you filled out a contact form, one of two things can happen. Either you fill it out and the form disappears and a little message appears that says thank you, which is not the best user experience. And it's also more complicated to track. There are inaccuracies with this type of tracking. Or what will happen is you'll fill out the form and then you'll be redirected to a thank you page that says, thank you so much for filling out this form. A member from our team will be in contact with you. This method is better from an accuracy standpoint. And also what it does is it provides a little bit better of a user experience because now the consumer knows that the form worked. If you've ever submitted a form and nothing happens, it's pretty frustrating. And you also second guess, like, did this work or didn't this work? And so what will happen is people will submit a form a bunch of times. That can mess up your tracking and you'll get a bunch of duplicate leads, which is kind of annoying. So again, a thank you page does a lot of things. Number one, it improves accuracy and it's easy to track. And number two, it gives the person feedback that the form submission actually went through. So that is how we track forms. And again, I'm going to do a live walkthrough on how to do this in Google Analytics so you can do this yourself. Now, how we like to track phone calls. So tracking phone calls is one of the most overlooked events, and these are typically the most valuable conversions you can have. The reason I say that is when someone calls in, it means they want help right now, and they're taking that step and reaching out to you. So phone call leads are super, super valuable, which is why you have to track them. A lot of people think that they have a vanity number or they have a firm number that they've used for years, that they don't want to part with that number because using call tracking, you have to get rid of that number. You can still forward to it, but it won't be appearing on your site. They think that this will compromise their business, but in reality, not tracking phone calls will compromise you way more. So no matter what your number is, even if you paid a bunch of money for a vanity number, if you're doing online ads or you have any online marketing, you want to make sure that you're using phone call tracking because it's going to give you insight into what's working and what's not. And so some of the things that we track with Callrail, which I'll show you, are your main website. So the number on your main website, that is huge. That's the first thing. The other things that you can track is you can put a phone number on your Facebook page to know that, hey, calls are coming from Facebook. Or you can put a phone number on the Facebook ads themselves. hey, these calls are coming from this particular ad. This message seems to be working. Let's scale that up. You can also do it on brochures. You can do it on billboards, and you can do it on mailers. So if you're sending out multiple marketing pieces and you want to measure the effectiveness of those pieces, putting unique numbers on each one will give you that feedback. And so now we're going to take a look at how does the website tracking portion actually work. So there's something called dynamic number insertion, and I'll show you what this looks like in real time. And what this does is every single time a user comes to your website, the number will change for that user. They will get their own unique number. And what that does is it stamps that number to that user and their session. So it's able to capture all of that user's data. It's able to know where they came from, what they clicked, what pages they visited, and ultimately, if they made a phone call or not, it will record that. What that does is it tells you where that person came from, and also Callrail, which again, I'm going to show you, will start to pump that information into your different ads platforms. So whether it's Google ads or Facebook ads, you're able to know that, hey, this user came from this Google ad and they called my firm and that call turned into a sale. So that's the ability, or that's the benefit of using a system like Callrail. So again, if you need help with any of these things, which I'm going to show you in a few seconds here, you can always reach out to me. My email is elliot@empirical360, or you can message me in the Facebook group, and I'll be more than happy to jump on a call with you and walk you through how this works. So let's go ahead and just look at a website. So if your firm's website looks something like this, you probably have a form on there, you probably have a number in the top right-hand corner, or you have a phone number somewhere, right? We want phone numbers there, and we want forms front and center. I've talked a lot about conversion elements on websites, and I have some of those videos on our YouTube channel if you want to check them out. But this is a decent layout for conversion. This is our website. And so the first thing we're going to set up is tracking on this form here. So I'm going to fill this out, and just to give you an example of what happens here. And what you do when this is filled out, I'm going to fill out that I'm a family attorney and I'm putting all my information. When I hit submit on this form, it sends me to a thank you page. And how you can see that is up here in the URL. It's empirical360/thank you. All right, so that is the destination that I sent the form to. And on this thank you page, I ask people to book a call with me. So that's just another step you can take. But again, that action of going from the homepage to the thank you page lets the system know that a lead was submitted, because the only way they can get to that thank you page, short of typing it in, is filling out that form. That page is nowhere else on the website. You can't link to it because, again, we only want people arriving there once they filled out the form. Now, how we're going to track that is in this system here. And what this is this is Google Analytics. And so this is just a script that you put on your website that collects all of the data on your site. It collects things like who your audience is, where they came from, what device they're on, what region they're in. There's tons of information in Google Analytics that's very, very valuable to you, because again, it tells you where your customers are coming from. And so what we're going to do is we're going to set up an event that will feed back to this system, telling it that, hey, someone filled out a form. And I'll show you what that reporting looks like. So when I go here to my admin panel, on the bottom left, you click the little gear and you go over here to goals. And what you're going to do is you're going to click new goal, and you're going to set up a custom goal. And so this will all make sense in a few seconds here. And we're going to name this new lead from the website. I name it stuff differently usually, just I've already done that. So I'm doing something different here. Website. And the goal ID is fine, and we're going to choose destination. And remember, I talked about this is a destination-based event. So we're telling Google Analytics that they have to go to another page to count this as an event. And then we're going to hit continue. And then we're going to put here destination begins with, so we're not going to put equals to, we're going to put begins with /thank. And the reason we're doing that is if you go back to this thank you page on empirical360/thank-u, you can see that the destination here begins with /thank. So what Google Analytics is going to do is it's going to read that URL and see that, okay, this page begins with /thank. Let's go ahead and count this as an event that someone filled out the form. Again, we're just feeding data to the system. And we're going to hit save. And now the event is there. And you can see that it is new lead from the website right there. All right, so now our event is created. Now let's go ahead and test this to make sure that it's working. So we're going to go over here to real time, and you can see that right now this is picking up data that there are people on my website. There are 3 people here. There's one on this page, account overview. There's one on an opt-in page, and then there's one on the thank you page, which is actually me. You can see here I'm on the thank you page. So I'm going to go back one, And now this will change. It'll show that I'm on the home page in a second. Let's just refresh this to make sure. All right, there you go. It actually just picked it up. So there's the /. That means I'm on the home page. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to events, and you're going to see a few events fired here because I have these events already wired plus the one that I just created. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill out the form here. I'm going to resubmit this. And so now it pushed me over to the thank you page. And now this thing is going to fire some events. So you see that little bar that just appeared there? That is the event that just fired of me filling out the form. So now the system knows that, yes, this guy filled out the form. We're going to look at conversions here. And you can see that these events just fired. So just now, the thank you page just came through, new lead from the website right there. So this system just captured that information. Now, this is all cool, very interesting stuff, right? What does this mean when you start to look at this data over a certain time period? So if I go over here to Google Analytics and I go to conversions and overview, this is going to give me all kinds of information on what's happening on my website. So I'm going to go to how many people have filled out a form on my site in the last 7 days. And you can see that I've had 58 people fill out the form in the last 7 days. So this is very valuable to me because I can see where those people came from if I click this little button here, source media. So I'm getting 26 leads in the last 7 days from Facebook, another 15 leads from Facebook. I've had 6 leads from people just typing in my website, empirical360.com. I've had another 3 from Facebook. I've had some from Calendly. And so you can drill into this stuff and see where are your leads coming from, which is super valuable because then you can see which marketing sources are actually producing revenue for you, which leads are the best, and then you can start to optimize your campaigns based on that information. All right, so that takes care of the thank you page tracking. And again, this is specifically done for forms. So whenever someone fills out a form, we like to use thank you page tracking, and we do that through Google Analytics, all right? And we do that through destination-based goals. So if you have any questions about that, I know that I went through that pretty quickly, but if you have any questions about how to track things on your site, so like when someone fills out an ebook form, or someone signs up for a consultation, or someone signs up for your free PDF on how to get more estate or how to set up your will, whatever it is that they're downloading, all of those different actions on your website, you want them to be tracked because, again, they're very, very valuable to you because that's what ultimately drives business for you. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at a system called Callrail. And again, this is how we track phone calls on our website. So if you see our website here, there's a number in the top right-hand corner. This number is a tracking number, and that number is unique to me. So if you were to go to my website right now, you would see a different number. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign into Callrail and show you what this looks like. I'm going to go to my company here. And so this is what the Callrail dashboard looks like. You can see that there are calls coming from different sources here, and it stamps all of those calls. And so what it'll look like when someone's on the site, so for instance, right now, if I were to call this number, my call would be logged here, and then I would be able to go in there and see the details of my session. So how this works, I'm going to refresh this and show you the number in the top right-hand corner. You can see it very quickly. You might have to rewind the video or just visit our site and watch the number in the top right-hand corner. It's going to flicker, and that tells me that call tracking is on there. So I just refreshed it, and it flickered just for a second. So what it did is it took my original number, which is a number that we have for our business. This would be the equivalent to your firm number, and it replaced it with another number. That's that dynamic number insertion that I was talking about. Now that number is stamped to me. Now when I call the business, it's going to record my call and tell me where it came from. So I'll show you what this looks like in real time. Here's our dashboard, and I'm going to call that number. Let me just go back really quick. All right, so I'm calling the number on my cell phone, and now you're going to see this appear in our Callrail dashboard. So you can see here, here's the website. It's from direct because I typed the website in. The call is in progress, and you can see that it's ringing to my phone. Just ring straight to my phone. So if I go into this record here, I'll see all kinds of stuff. I'm just going to hang up. So you can see that I've done this before. I've called to test it. I'm from Google Organic. I'm on a Chrome browser, and I'm on the page empirical360.com. So now it knows all of this information for me. It also tracks all of my old calls. So you can see here that I was on the website and I was on this page, empirical360.com/7-figure law firm marketing package. And then I was on this page. And so it tracks all of this information, which is very valuable because then you can see that, okay, I'm getting people that visit my site multiple times and then they eventually call. And then I can see what page they called off of to see what they're interested in or what marketing campaign they came from. So for me, this is all direct because I go to the site directly. But if I came from Google Ads, it would track that. And then I would know that, hey, I'm getting a lot of phone calls from Google Ads. This is great. Let me scale up my Google Ads budget. And so again, this is the power of having Callrail on the site. And the way that you install this, I'll just show you how easy this is. If I go to the back end of my website, and for us, this is going to look different for everybody, but we use a system called Divi, and it's just a builder in order to put the website together. And there's a back end of Divi. And so every website has a back end that you can go to. This is a very straightforward one. If I go here to integration, here's where I put all of my tracking scripts. So you can see that there's Facebook pixel code here, there's Google Analytics here, and then here is the Callrail script. So this little piece of code is facilitating that entire process. So what you do in Callrail to install this, if you were doing this yourself, is you go here to settings, and then you go to integrations, and you would find this little JavaScript snippet. And so what this does, again, this is that little tiny piece of code right there. I would copy that and follow the directions that they have here. Or you can send this to your web developer. And what this does is it enables that number tracking to take place. So again, this stuff it seems very complicated, but once you set it up, all it's doing is gathering data for you. And then you can use that data to make informed decisions down the line. So you want to make sure that this tracking is in place. I'm not going to say that you can do this right out of the box. It does take a little bit of time to set this up. But once you've set this up, again, it's super powerful. If you've never tracked anything on your website, you have no information of what's going on and if what you're currently doing is working. So what I encourage you to do is either refer to videos on my YouTube channel on these specific topics, so call tracking or form tracking. You can watch this video, it gives you the basics, or you can just reach out to me and I'll help you set this up. There's no cost associated with it. I just want to help you guys because it will really give you insight into what's working and what's not. And then you can begin to scale your marketing or make it more efficient. Super, super powerful when you have this data. So again, if you guys have any questions about this, feel free to drop them in the Facebook comments. I'd be more than happy to do more in-depth videos. I just don't know how much you want me to nerd out on this stuff because I could talk about this all day. It's a lot of fun to me. But again, if you have questions or you're not tracking your site or you don't even know if tracking is set up, let's say someone did it for you or if it's set up correctly, reach out to me. Definitely use this as a resource. That's what this group was built for, is for you guys to be able to do this stuff on your own or get insights into how it's done so you don't get screwed over by other companies. I know that sounds really bad, but that's the reality of this. So again, I hope you like this and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for your time.